Ralph Gwin, IBM North America Public Cloud Executive, IBM. Amit Modi, Chief Product and Technology Officer, Movius Corp. And Bachir Kassir, Founder and President, WebJaguar. Today, our speakers will be walking us through, yes you can, complex workloads and legacy applications on the cloud. We will have about 10 minutes for Q&A at the back end of the presentation. So please do be sure to get your questions in early so yours get answered on air. Over to you, Ralph.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, and I guess good morning for those of you on the West Coast. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. In a few minutes, I will allow Amit and Bachir to introduce themselves. I'm just going to kick things off here and talk a little bit about why we're here in this session. So we trust that you're here looking to accelerate your business transformation using cloud technology, and we really felt that the best way of having a discussion about that is, in fact, to have a couple of great IBM Cloud customers talk to you about their own experiences. So rather than hear from me, better to hear from them how they've gone about using our IBM Cloud technology to really unlock new opportunities, to serve their clients better, digitize and transform their business, take out the risk of the operations of some of their legacy and predecessor systems, and then how they overcome some of the common challenges in moving to the cloud around skills and security and regulatory compliance, and how to go about putting together a strategy not only for today but for through into the future. So we're going to get into the roundtable discussion in a moment. I did want to just take a quick moment to help you understand what we're doing at IBM and at IBM Cloud to set you up to really be able to move with surety to the cloud. So where we're focusing our time and energy is building the most open and secure public cloud for business. So everything we do in IBM Cloud is based on three core principles that I'll just briefly touch on here today. And we'd love to have the opportunity to speak with you about and follow-on sessions with your IBM account teams. But some core thoughts that I just want you to know where we're investing our time and energy. Principally, foundational point number one is open innovation. So what clearly differentiates the IBM Cloud from other public cloud providers is we're foundationally built around open innovation. In fact, the new IBM Cloud itself is built and runs using modern Kubernetes technologies. So we've rebuilt our own cloud, built a deep pool of expertise, so not only can we provide services, new Kubernetes and Red Hat managed cloud-based services to you as customers, we're eating our own cooking. We use it every day. And we are invested in open as IBM and Red Hat are really the leaders in contributing to open source efforts in this area, and then industrializing the tools and outcomes and delivering them to you on the IBM Cloud. We've got some 190 plus services now available, open source industrialized services on the IBM Cloud. So think about our cloud built on the premise of open, and then most assuredly built on delivering to you the most secure public cloud experience in the industry. So the one point I'll focus on here for today is our ability to deliver to you the highest compliance for encrypting your data in the industry. We use what's called FIPS 140-2 Level 4, keep your own key technology. What does that mean? Ultimately, it means that IBM can uniquely assert to you that we cannot ever see your customer data. The operators of our cloud have no access to access your customer data when you use our HyperProtect services and manage that data with keys that you keep and manage yourselves. You might also assume, and you rightly should, that the third principle IBM builds cloud technology around is to deliver enterprise-grade capabilities. We've spent decades working with clients to help them build out enterprise-grade IT systems. So it's in our DNA, and we're applying that DNA to deliver hyperscale VSIs, bare metal servers, VMware-based services, to deliver systems using our Power AIX and Power I technologies in the cloud. And then when we look at enterprise grade, it's probably manifested most obviously with our SAP certified solutions across the various platforms. Behind all that, we back that up with industry-leading SLAs. So we've got the leading SLAs with the commensurate payouts in the industry. 3 key focus areas I'll touch on, building upon these 3 principles of the IBM Cloud. One is the IBM Cloud for Financial Services we released earlier this year. With IBM Cloud for Financial Services, we built a set of IBM capabilities and services and capabilities from our business partners in the industry to deliver into this market a set of policy and framework compliance services in an environment specifically designed to adhere and meet the regulatory compliance requirements of financial services. We can do that most assuredly because of the security capabilities I touched on. Now we're starting to roll out what we call IBM Cloud Satellite. With IBM Cloud Satellite, we're going to be able to allow you as customers to use IBM Cloud capabilities and open cloud capabilities in your own data centers and at the edge. So you'll have the ability to manage it all in the IBM Cloud using the Kubernetes-based control plane, but to distribute the function into your data centers. And when we talk about edge computing, the last thing I'll touch on is the new IBM Cloud for telecommunications. We're using IBM Cloud Satellite and using the core capabilities of our IBM Public Cloud. We're going to help our telecommunications customers uniquely be able to build out new services for 5G and edge computing. So really exciting advancements in terms of our capabilities. The IBM journey to cloud is something, our account teams would welcome the opportunity to spend time to talk to you about how to apply all of these capabilities to power your transformation. If I were just to touch on it briefly, I would say we have the unique ability to have you work with our IBM Garage teams. So the same teams that have been previously physically located only in major cities across the Americas are now operating in a virtual environment to work with you and your teams to take your business and IT objectives and be able to instantiate those into a set of actionable journey to cloud roadmap steps that you can take using our cloud services, whether it's to build new applications on the cloud or modernize your existing IBM software suite by moving it into what we call Cloud Paks, running on a managed Kubernetes service, or to move your existing workloads from VMware or Power Systems or IaaS-based environments without change in the IBM Cloud to be able to modernize them. We've got an exciting set of capabilities we'd love to be able to speak to you more about. But more exciting, frankly, for me, is to hear from our customers how they're using the IBM Cloud. And so I'm really delighted to have Amit and Bachir join me today. And with that, I'd like to introduce them and turn it over to first Amit, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company and your role.
Thank you, Ralph, and thanks for the opportunity here. So hi, everyone. My name is Amit Modi. My role is Chief Product and Technology Officer at Movius. I've been here since the inception of the company. So at Movius, our core value proposition is to enable to be able to effectively, productively, and compliantly engage with their customers anywhere and all the time. And that's really the core foundation of our premise. That's what we are laser focused on. In the unified communication space, there's a lot of evolution that has happened over the years focusing on internal to business communication and collaboration. Movius is focused on augmenting that and addressing the need where the employees of the business need to drive the effectiveness and the efficiency of their client-facing engagement, and doing that without losing any compliance anywhere. And this has become even more pronounced, especially post the pandemic, where we see that the trend of your workforce being anywhere is going to continue. So that's a little bit about Movius, and we'll talk more about our experience.
Okay, thanks, Amit. Bachir, if you could, please.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today. And this is Bachir Kassir, founder and president of WebJaguar. WebJaguar is an e-commerce and marketing automation platform. The first version was released about 15 years ago, and we continuously evolved it. It was a hosted application, and then now is a fully cloud-based solution. And prior to founding WebJaguar, I worked at Apple for over 6 years as a developer and project manager. And the main focus of the e-commerce platform is mainly business to business. So we found that there was a need in the B2B space where we want to provide advanced e-commerce solution to the general customer at basically affordable price and fast time to market. Majority of our customers are in the business to business space, maybe about 90%. And target company we target are between 1 million to 100 million in general in terms of revenue. And this is where they can see most productive. We have about 10% of our clients over that range. The technology itself is a building block. It's about 100 technology building blocks that are API ready and fully configurable. And basically about 2 years ago, we started our journey with IBM and to even modernize the platform even better. And we're gonna talk about that maybe later. But the main core is that we wanna provide high availability and scalable environment for our customer, basically. So basically, that's what the platform is about. I'll be happy to answer any question. It's mainly like an operating system for e-commerce, for online, especially with the API capability.
Okay, very good. Thank you both. So interesting businesses that you both run, and again, really appreciate you sharing not only starting the businesses, but if we kind of shift into, your shift to cloud, interesting if you could expand upon, how you embarked upon moving into the cloud world. What were some of the challenges you may have had, and how did you go about selecting, the approach in the cloud provider you did, and maybe start with Amit on that topic.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. So I think it all starts with what your core business problem statement is. We have to always start from there. What is your mission? What are you trying to achieve? And in Movius's case, it was very clear. We want to be the most cutting edge, leading mobile, secure, unified communication solution. If you look at our customer base, they are some of the toughest, most regulated enterprises. So we deal with financial services, some of the biggest banks in the world. We are proud to have them as our customers. We deal with healthcare, which is another extremely regulated vertical. So not only do we enable revenue generating employees to be able to effectively meet with their customers, we have to do it in a manner without compromising on security and compliance. And the last piece is, because of the nature of our customer base, they are geographically distributed. So if we put those three pieces together as we embarked on the journey of cloud, it was very clear for us. The criteria was we need a cloud solution or a cloud partner which has geographic scale and enterprise grade scalability. So that's number one. Absolutely highest degree of compliance and security. There cannot be any compromise there. Another thing, and you touched on that, Charles, it's about innovation, right? Us as a company, while we have a core proposition to address, in an enterprise solution, it's all about the ecosystem of services. So once you have access to that ecosystem of services, only then you can innovate at the pace that your customers would need from you. These are the three main criteria, and then there are other things like cost effectiveness and ability to have a partner which offers the highest degree of support and brings to bear a lot of additional resources. But I would just emphasize geographic scale, security, enterprise-grade reliability, and access to different ecosystem of services. And those were our drivers. And we started this journey extremely early on. And at that point of time, after a lot of selection criteria, looking at the entire ecosystem and landscape, we selected IBM as our cloud partner.
Sure. Well, we certainly appreciate you putting your faith in the IBM cloud and sharing that background. Bachir, if you could take us through your history and how you ended up moving to the cloud and taking the journey with IBM.
Yes, we started with a traditional hosted model back when we first started, basically, and as cloud started to emerge, we worked with many other data centers, but we found out, especially with our vision to grow the company and service better our clients, we found out that it's time to find a better partner, and we were kind of talking to IBM team, and their IBM team offered us lots of help in also not just moving to the IBM cloud, but also modernizing the application, which was a no-brainer decision for us to work with IBM because that was part of our roadmap to do that. And this is really priceless for us because we're in the business of serving our client, making sure they have high availability environment, because every day they use WebJaguar to run their day-to-day business, to create order, check inventory, process things. And we don't have room for error here. So they require high availability, 24-hour environment, and so on. And so one of our longer-term vision or plan a few years back was that to move everything to modernize the application, making it scalable, because some of our clients, let's say Black Friday came in, you need to automatically increase resource in terms of RAM and other resources. And we want to be ability to programmatically control that. And on the other data center, we can do that, but manually. So it was really an attractive proposition for us to help us choose the IBM cloud for that. And it was not easy. It was challenging, by the way. So IBM team really offered their resources to help us. They even visited our office a few times. We had many virtual conferences even before COVID. And to just make sure we architect a resilient environment. And so there were so many pieces of the puzzle. And at the end, we did create kind of a private environment on the IBM cloud. And so right now, we're actually hosting our top client on our IBM cloud, and in parallel migrating from the other data center to the IBM cloud. So we have a lot on our roadmap, including modernization, like using Kubernetes and microservices, but which IBM also helping us on that level. What else I can say? So yeah, I mean, it's working. The main challenge we have, which is brainstorming ideas to solve. There were many pieces of the puzzle that need to be solved, and with the help of IBM Cloud, IBM team, we were able to do that. So we are very proud of what we have right now. We are very confident that we can support our client as well. So again, I welcome questions, but this is like very high level on our journey on and why we chose IBM.
And thanks, Bachir. And you kind of touched on some of the challenges there that you've had, and maybe on that, that if you were to, think about the challenges that you've had to face, can you share with the group, the top 2 or 3, and I guess really as a function of that, then what advice would you offer to the listeners and viewers on the call based on the challenges that you came across?
In e-commerce, there is PCI compliance, there is high availability, there is SOC compliance, there is we use like Alert Logic and many other third-party provider, and we had to make sure we connect all of these are some of the challenges that we had, but thanks, of course, to the help of the IBM team, we were able to one by one overcome those challenges. The other challenges is that pricing to our client, because we are used to certain pricing model with other data center, with IBM, it's a different system. And originally, we felt it might be out of our price kind of control in terms of pricing level. But again, working creatively with the IBM team, we were able to come up with even better cost-effective solutions. So that's another challenge is, okay, yes, we like the IBM cloud, but yeah, it's very expensive. Actually, one of our clients, relatively large clients, say, oh, we don't want to move to the IBM mainly because they're too expensive. But we told them, no, we did work with the IBM team, and you're still getting that high-end capability at the current pricing you're getting. So there's, of course, many other challenges, but these are quickly some of things come to mind.
Very good. And Amit, from your side?
Yeah, thanks, Ralph, and thanks, Bachir. And I echo a lot of those challenges we also face. So thank you. I think I'll just compliment here for our audience. For us, the key is it's a mission-critical communication service, right? It's in its simplest form, it's very basic. You pick up our application and you should be able to make the calls, receive the calls. You should be able to deliver messages, receive messages. So it has to work equal or better than your native phone because we are offering that separation. While it is easier said, as we all know, when you have to deliver it at scale and at an always-on environment around the world, that's where the complexity comes into play because we have to connect with multiple other telephony providers, carriers around the world, create an infrastructure that is always on. So that's part one. Part two is while we take having a voice call for granted, to make it work end-to-end with an over-the-top service that works, there are a lot of piece parts that are involved. And that's where you need, obviously, a very solid infrastructure, but you also need a set of tools and services that allow you to always monitor it, trace it, so that it's always available. If there's an issue, you are able to dynamically address that problem without enduring any downtime. And knock on wood, we have been, over the course of last many years, been almost operating at 100% uptime, which in a cloud service for communications infrastructure is not trivial, right? And people only complain when they cannot make that one call out of 1,000 calls, right? They'll never say, oh, your 999 calls work beautifully. So I'm highlighting this. These are the challenges you have to overcome, and that's where IBM has been great in terms of partnering with us as we built and scaled out this infrastructure.
Interesting. So we're delighted, obviously, that when I hear scale and high availability and the need for resilience, mission critical, we're delighted you're taking advantage of those kind of investments that we put into our cloud. As you look forward, I'm interested in each of you could just kind of share where do you go from here in terms of using Kubernetes, other new emerging cloud capabilities. Maybe I'll return it back to you, Amit, if you could kind of talk about where do you see things playing out for the future for you.
Yeah, absolutely, Raj. So I think there are two fundamental paradigms here. Obviously, our current solution follows the virtualization theme of things, and for us, always security and compliance is number one. So we have leaned towards that. Now, having said that, as we look out in the horizon, as we are augmenting and creating more add-ons and more services, there are some workloads that we can containerize, as an example, right? Just because of their needs and the kind of requirements we have. So we have started those discussions. We are not containerized yet, and nor would I say we will be containerized in any time soon, because again, it's about what workloads, what microservices do you want to containerize, what you want to leave in a current virtualized environment, and why. Those are the more fundamental questions that you need to ask, and that's the stage we are in. And again, this is where, and Ralph, you referred to the garage, IBM garage workshops, etc. We have been able to benefit from a number of those with the partnership with IBM, and just brainstorming, getting on whiteboards, virtual or real, and being able to say, okay, what makes sense for our business as we look out in the horizon. So those are our thoughts. We are at that point where some of the newer services, which are very autonomous, we are looking at containerizing them, but some of our core services, at this point, we are going to stay in our current virtualized cloud model. That's where we are right now.
Okay, very good, interesting. Yeah, so a hybrid set of capabilities. And Bachir, same question to you. As you kind of see the road in front, what are your plans going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of in line with what Amit mentioned. I mean, right now, we are not yet using Kubernetes, and we just started deploying some microservices. So, WebJaguar over 15 years has been big monolithic application. So that prevent us from scaling further and deploying our vision. And the very important thing is we're moving from direct to customer to working with our partner channel. And so we want to also make sure the software support the need of our partner channel when they're dealing with their client as well. So scalability and stability are a key, and the big monolithic application, it's sometimes very hard. So maybe we're 6 months to 12 months away. And of course, thanks to the IBM team, and this is one of the main incentives, to be honest, why we made the shift to use IBM as our main data center and cloud services. So scalability, ability to be programmatic, we can control things programmatically, ability to support not just our customer, but our partner channel. Actually, we have a regular meeting with some key IBM teams that help working with our developers to build the microservice and move into Kubernetes and so on. And the new services, we're automatically trying to deploy them onto this environment. But of course, with 10, 15 years of coding is going to be moved step by step. We already, several years back, moved into fully API-ready environment with over 100 technology building blocks. So that's a good thing. But now we're going to convert that big application into microservices, which give us even more high availability as well. So it's a win-win-win approach, win, of course, to the end customer, win to our partner, win to IBM, win to us, basically. So it's like it's a good environment. We're having some good successes in because there's many phases in building the Kubernetes and microservices. And my advice to the audience is that maybe build the core, new things you can use a new technology, and step by step migrate old stuff, because it's going to be very hard to migrate almost over 1,000 website project into the new environment. So it's going to be a gradual process, but a new customer or a new feature deploys them onto the new environment. Of course, I'm open to question now or later. We can share maybe some of the things we did could help some of the audience as well.
Yeah, well put, and thank you. And speaking of questions, I'm just reading questions that are coming in here. So I've got one here, question to Amit, and it is: you said you didn't compromise on security and compliance. My bank is reluctant to move to cloud, and the argument is always security and compliance because we are a regulated entity. How do you convince leadership to overcome these challenges? Also, what are the challenges on security and compliance? Amit?
Yeah, absolutely, Ralph. And it's a really good question. So it is a tough road for a lot of the banks, but first thing I would want to assure our audience is when you have solutions like Movius built on secure clouds like IBM, you can overcome and convince your leadership. And let me now tell you why. Because we serve on that same cloud infrastructure the biggest of the banks, case in point, JP Morgan Chase and UBS and many other banks around the world, and they have as stringent, if not more, the kind of requirements that you might have experienced. You can tell them that you are selecting a cloud solution provider which meets all of the requirements of financial services, and SOC 2, SOC 3, ISO certification, FIPS that you talked about, data at rest, data at encryption. The security and compliance is designed in, and then all of the third-party oversight processes, the vendor risk assessment processes, we have not only gone through them and solidified ourselves, but we can also help you. We've got detailed guidelines, how we have overcome those, how the solution has been deployed, because ultimately, as much as the bank wants to ensure risk and compliance, they also have to keep up with the pace of innovation. So we'll be very happy to engage with you. We'll be happy to work with you, bring our experiences. And again, the key message here is you are in good company because you are selecting solutions and clouds that have gone through that vetting by some of the toughest in the industry. And I'll be very happy to take more follow-ups separately or in detail. I'll leave my details so we can connect with you offline.
Okay, terrific. Similar question that's come in, so maybe I'll just direct it to you, Bachir, is how do you go about making sure your cloud environment and data are secure?
Well, I mean, that's a very good question. And especially the last couple of years, our average customer size is like more than doubled and tripled, basically. And usually, larger clients do require security compliance. Sometimes we have to fill out many pages and Excel spreadsheet to answer certain things. And what we did is we worked with one of our large clients about 2 years ago on they required us to be SOC compliance for security and data and everything. And so we made the decision to do that. And last May, we got our certification for the SOC 2 Type 2 compliance, which actually, in parallel, while doing that, many other larger clients also required that. So, of course, we can assure them, we tell them we're working with the IBM cloud, we do this and that, but by getting compliance from third-party company, that really helped us a lot. Actually, it was a must-have for us if we're gonna grow and scale. And that's why having a partner like IBM can help us also with that solution. And this could really make a huge difference in terms of the level of client that you can get, and so as I mentioned earlier, I mean, our customer base was a little bit on the smaller size, but the last 3 years has been like growing much bigger, mainly due to the many technology. And we're not stopping there because we want to also make sure we scale even further on that. So having SOC compliance with third-party certification, having PCI compliance is really how we kind of tell our client, hey, we're here to help you. And we cannot compromise on that, because if we compromise, that's really our business. Many large companies are hesitant. Oh, all my data are available into the system, so which I don't blame them. I mean, they have to worry about that. So that's how we assure our clients.
Well, interesting. Thank you. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's been forever for those of us that have been in this cloud business for some time, forever the number one topic of conversation, and is here again with the questions. So thank you both in that area. Then another one coming in, and maybe I'll direct this to you, Amit, is how do you prevent your company from downtime? Do you have a backup strategy? I guess what is your backup strategy, Amit, if you could?
Absolutely. First, just very quickly, in terms of downtime, you have to design with complete high availability and reliability. So everything has to be N+1. There should not be any downtime. If one of the systems go down, you have full redundancy. So that's the core foundation of the architecture as it relates to backup. And this is again another example where you choose the right cloud partner, you get access to the right services. So in our case, we use what is the industry leader, which is Gwin, right? And that's a WEEAM. And we have used them. And if you look at the latest Gartner Magic Quadrant there, I think the last time I saw the topmost in the top right quadrant. So these are the kind of services, backup and restore, that we also were able to get partnering with IBM as part of the cloud infrastructure. That's what we use. My last comment is designing high availability is about building that right infrastructure, having the right backup and restores, and also having a very good monitoring and observability strategy. You need to be able to monitor and trace and look for issues proactively, and please invest in that as well, along with a good backup and a good HA architecture.
Okay, very good. So another question, and I'll leave this one with you, Bachir. In terms of application modernization, what applications are you monitoring and why? And what are the benefits that you've seen?
Okay, yeah, thank you, Ralph. Well, we use our application is Java, we use Spring Framework, we use many other services at the architecture level, basically. And so we monitor the main applications that we have developed. As Amit said, it's very important to monitor and keep track. And IBM team also give us alert when something failed or when something, whatever, to prevent that. And we monitor as well on the if any services fail, and that's why we are doing the shift to the microservice architecture that will help us better achieve our goal. And I'm not familiar with the detailed technical part on what specific application our team is using, but I know we're doing monitoring on the platform. And we're doing we have a log file as well that we also provide sometime access to some of our customers that request that, and also regarding if like we use load balancer and for the high availability. So if a service fail for whatever reason, and we do have very, very high availability as well. Many of our clients, I mean, even when we update the site, basically they will experience zero downtime, basically because of the way we architected the solution. So bottom line, monitoring is very important. Like I don't remember the name of the application. I can share that with you later if needed. But we can put a threshold. If certain service reach, let's say over 80%, let us know, and it give us an alert to us, maybe sometime to our client if they request that. And based on that, we take certain action. Okay, it's time to add more CPU. It's time to add more memory. And this is another reason why we chose the IBM cloud, is because we can, in the future, we don't do it now, but we can do that programmatically by putting certain business rules to automatically, let's say, increase memory if it reaches certain threshold and so on. I hope I answered the question, but
well, I think you certainly have, and I think both of you done a terrific job not only answering these questions, which I'll speak on behalf of those that asked to thank you for that, but greatly appreciate you taking the time here on the session and joining us. I sincerely appreciate your gracious comments about the IBM Cloud and the IBMers who are helping you out, and we look forward to continuing to do so. And certainly for those listening, I know that both of you offered up to take on additional questions offline, so we'll work to make your contacts available, as well as for those of us at IBM. I won't say anything more about our IBM Cloud capabilities because you both spoke so well about them, so thank you for that. I would just offer for those that are looking for a place to start, we've talked about the IBM Cloud Garage, and the Cloud Garage capability is really a terrific way if you're looking for how to start, how to get moving forward on a journey to cloud. We have a series of no charge offerings that we'd just be delighted to spend time with you and your teams to help you achieve your objectives. So again, Amit, Bachir, thank you for your time. Those who've joined, I thank you very much for your time and attention, and wish you all a great afternoon.